Public hearing to order. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you, folks. All right, this is the public hearing, 30 minutes apiece for the proposed ordinances that are on the April 1st referendum ballot. This is a statutory requirement. So I will open the floor to the planning board chair and her cohort, Mr. Egan, Mr. Dugas, for the short-term rental ordinance. The floor is yours.
I felt sure that you all have a copy. I know you have had a chance to look over. It's been available for some time, and if anybody has any questions,
What you talking about? Dog ordinance.
if anybody has any questions about it'd be I can certainly any of those. Yes, sir.
Short-term ordinance, that doesn't include like 2003, just for people renting property.
Renting short-term property. With that said, there could be an LD 23 that is used as a short-term rental. Correct. Am I right by saying that? I believe so.
In LD 2003, they specifically say you can't have a facility. Remember, it's for affordable housing, so you can't build that under the pretense of LD 2003 or whatever the new number is. So you can't do that.
Okay. So it isn't going to affect.
It won't affect LD 2003, but somebody could have built under the premise of 2003 and then say I'm turning it into a short-term rental.
Okay.
For instance, right now you can put another building, another dwelling unit on to your property.
Right.
Okay. Even though we have the 2-acre with LD 2003, you can put another building unit on there as long as it's for affordable housing. And there's a whole formula for that you have to look into, whether you're renting, buying, whatever. And it says in there that states in there that you can use it as a short-term rental.
Okay.
Yes.
Some permanent structures, are they considered in this at all?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you said. Yours, is this considered in this?
Finish.
This is not considered under our ordinance. Yours are not considered under our. Does anybody else have any questions? The premise of the ordinance honestly was just to make sure that we knew where they were located for safety purposes. So there are not very many rules in here. It's just registering your short-term rental to ensure that you have safety in place and that Dickie and the fire department know where you are located. And perhaps we will also have on our informational piece, our registration piece rather, how many people you can occupy. So that if he goes to a residence that he knows that term rental, he will know that perhaps there could be 8 people in that residence at a time. So it's just good for those purposes. Yes.
Really good. Fall under this or whatever. That's still a good point for emergency. That we would know where they are. So can't always guarantee that I can say 100 people there.
Right.
Maybe I should some sort of plot plan or road plan to the fire department. So if they
That's a
want-
very good idea.
want to call, then
Mhm.
they would have.
Yeah, and I would strongly suggest you talking to Dickie about that and to give your contact information. Are you on the premises?
No.
Okay, so that's even more important, so that he has your contact information if the God forbid happens. Well, right, that's the whole premise of this is to try to keep people safe. That's the whole point of it. Yes. It's never easy to try to figure that out, right? So we went back and forth and talked about figures. We also talked to the select board about, because they're the ones that actually we recommended to them what we thought would be fair and what we thought would cover the costs. How we came up with the figure is how we determined how many, what we approximated, what's the word? Approximated. How many hours that the police chief and the CEO and perhaps the secretary that would put in, how much time they would put in, and would cover their salaries. The town can't make money off of any fees, but it's to cover costs. So we thought that that figure that we came up with would cover their labor.
I just want you to know, speaking of Friday,
I didn't go to Freiburg Academy, and my first language wasn't English, so I have a couple excuses. Any other questions? No. Okay, I guess we can move on from us.
Perfect.
That was quick.
All right, we'll move on to an ordinance to repeal the town of Brownfield dog control ordinance and replace it with the town of Brownfield animal control ordinance. I will open the floor. Anything? Yes, sir?
So the way I'm reading this is. Let's see if I have, if my dogs go outside and they're in a fenced in area. And they're playing and whatever, and they're barking. If my neighbor complains, then the CEO has to come up and take a decimal reading? No, the animal control. The animal
Yes, sir.
control officer has to come up and take a decimal reading? If I'm up.
So
Well,
so what page are you on? Direct me to it.
Must be section 9.
Section.
It says that the nor exceed 60 dBA. A measurement from the
Okay,
property lines.
so let's read through it. Yeah. For the purpose of this ordinance, a domesticated animal makes loud and unreasonable sounds that disturb the peace of a reasonable individual when it barks, bays, cries, howls, or makes any other noise that exceeds 60 decibels as measured from the lot line of the subject property, either one, continuously or incessantly for a period of 30 minutes or more, or two, intermittently for 45 minutes or more to the disturbance of any individual at any time of the day or night, regardless of whether the domesticated animal is physically situated in or upon private property. Correct.
Okay,
So I'm gonna ask you a question. You let your dogs out back, you got 3 of them. I'm using examples. I don't care how many dogs you got, you could have 50,
okay,
regardless.
all right.
You open the back door, out the door they go.
Yeah.
What's the likelihood, if they're just out in the backyard hanging out, that they're gonna bark, whine, cry, lose their minds for 30 minutes straight?
The possibility,
Pretty remote,
unless it's like someone approaching the driver.
but
Right.
we don't,
What, luckily, so far, I have two neighbors on each side that are very tolerant.
Mhm.
What happens is if one of them moves and I get somebody else in there, and they decide they're gonna call over anything.
Control your animals.
Well, what happens if they haven't even been out there for 30 minutes and they say
Well, they have to document 30 minutes.
they have to document?
Yes.
How do they do that?
Well, in recent cases or recent complaints, okay, so I'll just use it as an example. They call the ACO 501, okay? ACO goes down, kind of hangs around a little bit, and she's got 30 minutes and they're still losing their minds. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
I just.
yes, ma'am.
That from that noising.
Correct.
I'm not sure the definition of legally engaged in hurting.
What do you mean?
Legally engaged in hurting how they. Although, I've seen dogs hurting cows out west, that's actively engaged. But for example, in the past, we had neighbors and when they had sled dogs. And those only bark when they're gonna eat, but then they put domestic dogs with them. And domestic dogs bark intermittently, but enough to get all the sled dogs barked.
Right.
So it was truly annoying. But, I outlived it. But I was questioning, I don't think that that's specific enough.
Actually, that verbiage is from Maine statute. That's per Maine statute verbiage. So we can't alter that.
So
And
you have a legally engaged herding livestock.
Right.
Would you have a special dog tag?
no, but they would, I would take it, they're gonna demonstrate it. You know, ACO shows up, even Mr. Mugg from the state. And who was the other guy that came down before? Well, Mr. Randall, he's on the education side of it. He would come down and help assess that situation. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
This bottom half where it says
Bottom half where?
section 9,
Yep,
second page.
Yep.
Investigating of animals and unreasonable tease or provoke by any individual trespassing or threatening.
hang on, let me find it first. Okay, so it's an owner or keeper shall not be in violation of section if at any time of the barking, baying, crying, howling, or other continuous or incessant noise making, the domesticated animal has been unreasonably
Keep
teased or
going down,
provoked.
you're not in the right spot.
Yeah, you got it now. Increase.
Right, well,
I'm sorry. He
the
was,
entire,
I apologize, he was
So-
saying you weren't in the right spot. So
no,
I was
it's
try-
the
I was
whole,
trying- was trying
that's
to
the
help.
whole sentence. I was reading the whole sentence. Or if an individual is trespassing or threatening to trespass upon private property in or upon which the domesticated animal is located. Okay,
Drones. Come on back tonight from 9:15. You'll see the drone come up and he keeps flying until my dog's after 10 o'clock. I speak to him, put the collars on him. I'm not zapping him because he's being a prick. Pardon my French.
understood,
Just so he can record it after 10 o'clock. 2
understood.
weeks is straight, he's done this.
Okay.
When he's been working on the tractor, he blowing whistles. Jimmy's got hearing, he kept cocking his head, and I said, what are you doing? What's that noise? Your relative. Jim went down the road. He's a little Frenchman, he don't take it for China. So.
Drones is a
how
whole
do you
different-
address this?
I'm sorry.
How you want to address this, instead of having this woman crazy?
Well, if with drones, that would involve,
We've called the police.
Doesn't work. We felt FFA, once they get below my tree line. Around over my house on my kennels, that violation.
Understood.
We have a video.
I understand that there's nothing statutory wise, statutory. That covers drones right now,
Right.
okay? If this ordinance passes, at that point, that portion right there, there can be a town ticket, a summons issue to the violator. Because you'll be able to, you'll at that point, if you verify it and have proof, i.e. you know the deal, you're gonna have to video it. At that point, it's gonna have to go to Oxford County.
What it really comes to do, I'll. 44 years now, you look, we play this game, I'm not. I'm done.
Yes, sir.
If you wanna make this have teeth, let's put teeth in it,
Well, it cannot go above and beyond statutory,
why not?
okay?
And that's.
So, well, and again, none of us here are police, none of us here are attorneys, and none of us here are judges.
I got that one.
So the only thing I can tell you is this does give it teeth. Because this wasn't in the previous ordinance
True.
at all. So the attempt at the town level is to update the old ordinance with this one that does give it some teeth so that either it's state level ticketing or town level ticketing can happen across the board, regardless. If you break this, you can be ticketed for that. Having said that, it's going to come down to whether the DA is going to prosecute it. Okay. So we have no control of that at all. When it comes to a town assigned ticket or summons, it goes to the town's attorney presents it to the DA. And if it's compelling enough, if they can convince the DA to prosecute, it would move forward. If the DA flat out refuses, it's a moot point.
Let me stand with this, if it comes to that point. I'm gonna be in violation, but we can't control it, to stop the violation. But where we go, that's my point here.
I honestly, I don't have an answer for you.
I don't either, and that's why I come tonight.
I honestly, I don't know how to answer that. This problem has gone on for 4 years now, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, the comments were that nothing had been done, and I think Frank did a very good job of squashing that because there were things being done.
What, walk the line?
Right.
So.
Were you within 3 miles of the airport?
No, we live right over here.
Because I knew you served business from the airport.
Yeah, he's
Hasn't
out of
been-
that. Cause he's on the other side of the mountain.
Or whatever,
Yeah, the FAA.
you know, the other.
Yeah.
Concept. Only thing FAA tells you to do is file a no-fly zone over your property, and they give them your address. And they Google it go Google Earth and tell you exactly what you own in the boundaries, and that, we have that. But where do you go with it? We don't have a law to control it, we just have that space for us, which includes landowners. But we can't tell you how to go about
Right.
enforcement.
I honestly, Randy, I can't answer that question. I don't know. I'm not educated enough on that.
We don't know what,
Yeah.
you know where it's gonna end up, right back where we are for liberals.
Hopefully not.
We need to get a violation because I'm still gonna be able to do it, and you're the one. I'm only down with my own dogs, my own packs, about. And I'm not finding every time he looks at me, because I'm not very good. Okay, I've got my answer.
So, not to address this, but have you all finished talking about the drone thing? Yeah, okay. Just so everybody knows, on page 2, they tell you what domestic animals will be affected by this. And it's not just a dog ordinance, it's an animal ordinance. So it's dogs, cats, cattle, horses, swine, fowl, sheep, and goats. Huh? Page 2, under domesticated animals. Animals that normally and customarily share human habitat, normally dependent on humans for shelter and/or food such as limited to. So all those animals will be affected if they're randomly running around at large? Just so people know.
Well, go back to that. We had a problem like this in July. My cattle were getting shot in the pasture with not bottle rockets, actual fireworks being shot over and they were exploding in my field and blowing up. So
Uh-huh.
I've got my cattle under the fence. I almost lost them because they got so wet and fat and lathered up. Cindy recorded the whole thing. I said, "Dad, keep calling."
Yeah,
No ordinance. Call the box, but they were in Bethlehem on the shooting, which, you know, takes priority over that, but. I'm not with that this year either. But the guy that was doing it died.
yeah, I don't know if there's any state ordinance or anything about fireworks where they have to
Can't
be
shoot
away from
fireworks
distance.
within a mile where the pasture of a house.
Uh-huh.
That's state law, black and white, red and black and white.
Well, it's something, yeah, maybe bring down the town office, let them know if they want to do fireworks again. You've got, you know.
I don't care if they threw them off down here somewhere, not right, how old, right over, but it's.
Right, yeah, I mean, if they're in violation of your distance, yeah, let them know. But the other thing is, which I got a question on, I'm not sure, it says at large on page 1, it means off the premises of the owner or the keeper. So, and not under control of a person. So I'm not sure if a person has 30 acres and the animal is somewhere in the 30 acres in the woods, if they're considered at large, because they're still on the premises. Yeah. What's that? Right, so if they're on, if a person owns 30 acres and that dog is in the woods in those 30 acres, they're not considered at large.
Correct.
Okay,
So consider the large, if you have GPS towers on, because you're in control. That states.
well, yeah, well, it just says off premises and not under control when they're off premises.
See, that's the point.
But anyway, that's just something to,
States out.
just something for information and. I don't
I'm
think,
between both.
pardon?
I'm caught in the middle between both of them.
Hmm.
I think it's made a tremendous difference now that you only have 5 dogs, speaking from a neighbor, but
No, it's not. It's around, cause last time we had Foxton and driving back,
mhm.
they don't like it. I had a bobcat that flew yesterday afternoon with the red Rhode Island red chicken. They bought their own bobcat. Minute the wind shifted, they come live. They doing what they're supposed to do,
Mhm.
even when they're in kennels. And they had colors on them, but I'm not frying them because the bobcat's in my driveway. With the chicken, he stole down home because he got no timber up in the mountain anymore. To do what they're supposed to be doing. I mean, that's what I trained them to do, run bobcat and bear.
And the amount of dogs that are at our house on the outside have not changed.
It has not.
Still the same from the last.
The problem arise, and you can, Cindy will verify this, Ricky can, that I couldn't let my pups outside the play because it bothered him during the day. He complained when I had him in the house, and complained in the house. I got a phone call.
It's been off Bluebird Lake.
Yes.
Then this is long, so then that 30-minute logging thing would actually apply to you guys. Cause I live in Spring Street and I hear them freaking dogs all the time. For hours on end.
When?
All the time. In the summer.
That home will.
In the summertime, they're just going crazy. It's usually actually about dinner time.
Yeah, and it beat me.
That, they are just freaking out for at least over an hour.
No, it ain't an hour, cause it takes me 25 minutes to feed them. And you can tell when I feed because they all rock. When I go to one can and feed them, that goes quiet. Then you go to the next can, that goes quiet. By the time I'm in the back room, there's no more noise.
You gotta feed them quick, because the first one's already done, he's laughing.
No, they don't. Come on over. You come over tomorrow and feed it for sale.
I mean, I can hear him all the way over.
Well, you should, because there's no wood timber between anybody.
Well, that's not the community.
No, there ain't much, trust me.
And the other thing is on the last page, it's a list of the fees. So we know what the fees are for violations and,
Oh,
well, this is the final copy. This isn't the draft. This is the latest.
No, this is still draft. This is the final.
This is the draft. I got this the other day. Yeah, I get that one.
That-
Well, anyway,
Okay, no, they need to know this.
okay,
This is the final draft. We don't have a final unless and until it is passed. And then we sign it and it takes effect. Okay,
So this is the draft we're gonna vote.
yes.
So, well, the fees are listed on,
If you cover section one,
when we get to it, I'll let you know. Actually,
Those are the ones
it's
that,
just for the sewer violation.
That would-
It goes to court.
that's a court ruling. That's nothing to do with us.
Yeah. John, Ricky mentioned before that usually if it goes to court, we kind of, I think that's the court.
These fees.
The fees, yeah. They're on the, oh, I don't know.
Right.
Oh, 2 5.
Oh. Yeah,
It's on
we
section
have a
five.
fee schedule that is set by the select board. And until this ordinance passes, it is not policy. It can't be voted. Those numbers are the same that were in the original draft that went out, that we did our informational meeting with.
That's section 5 on the draft.
that page is gonna be.
Cindy, you're not listening to me. No. Yeah, we'll get you one. But this falls under policy. So giving it to you does no good. Because until this ordinance passes, we have to make a motion and accept it for it to go into effect. Well, we can't do that until this ordinance passes. This fee schedule can't be utilized on the current dog ordinance. This is only for the repeal of the dog ordinance. So it'll only work with the animal, as this one's the animal control ordinance. That's the only way it'll work. The previous ordinance didn't have a fee schedule or an appendix that was created when it was voted on. So we can't just create one without that, where it wasn't done originally. We have to do it separate. So we'd have to go pretty much through the same process we're doing right now. It's exactly what you asked for, though.
Go.
Yes, 100%. Yes, sir.
About big pieces of land like public land or it's like Cole's property on Cross and stuff like that. I mean, is there any exception for situations in which there's no owner occupation of land?
I wouldn't say that there is. I don't remember reading that in here.
No. There's. What I'm saying is, how would you actually get that permission?
Get what permission?
Permission to have without pretty line, presumably under your control, but not on the line. I mean, would you have to, I don't even know who owns the bog or.
The state owns the bog. That's state property. Yep. I don't know.
No.
ACO? If they're at the bog, state-owned property, and the dog isn't on a leash,
They have no control of the dog, the state statute says you must have control of the dog at all times, either by leash or verbal command.
so that handles the state part.
Okay, so question is, which of those two sets of regulations has the priority, right? So in other words, like on state land, and then,
Then state statute carries.
okay, so
State statute carries. Town of Brownfield has no cognizance nor authority on state property.
So if I'm more than Farnsworth in there, my dog's in control, I'm not subject to this ordinance.
On state property. Correct. Yeah, we have no jurisdiction on state property. On the coal property, what's coal property?
2/3 of Brownfield.
I don't know.
From Brookfield Road to 5113, he owns full ballot cost.
Yeah.
Then it would be permission of the property owner
No, only if it's posted. If it's not posted, you don't need permission.
to be on.
I hunted.
Yeah, he's not.
Still-
He's just walking a dog.
Yes, control.
Yeah, I'd refer that to you. That's your call, because right.
Owner's fine, we ain't gonna complain. Honest to God, man, I know the man always like,
Yeah.
his son's a surgeon in Maine, man.
So thank you, right? Yeah, they're not. Yes, sir.
So on state property, state has jurisdiction.
State cognizance, yes.
Okay, so say they have a dog out here in the field that's on town property, so is that's town business, so
Correct.
that fall under that.
Correct.
So if you had a dog running out there, they didn't listen while they're running free. That's where
Yep.
he,
That's when AECU steps up with a badge.
You have people that walk us to and they take their dogs off leash,
Mhm.
they won't be able to do that anymore.
Well, it says if they're under, you just stated. Well, hang on. I'm just saying, Cindy, you just get done saying as long as they're under verbal command, then they're under control, correct?
On town property,
What I'm saying is, we're trying to split hairs here, okay?
people put heads.
Well, then, and that's why we have a town's attorney. And that's why you have access to the town's attorney at any time. Because the hair splitting, we're not attorneys. We're being posted all of these questions. I'm not an attorney. I can't answer specific legal to the statute. I don't know. So posing the question to us, folks, I'm sorry, I'm just not a cop. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. But guess where the legal purview falls? Oh. Guess where the legal purview falls? Right there. You're the legal purview. So I won't say that. As an animal control officer that is trained, has remedial training, essentially works under a state department and has access to state attorney, guidance, and town's attorney, you're the hair splitter. Okay. That's your job. So yeah, I'm here. Hey, folks, we got a new ordinance. This is what it says. I can answer general questions. Great. Yes.
Let's say you're used to walking your dog on property that's not posted, but it's not your property. Is it possible to find out who owns it so as to get permission to walk there with the dog offline by coming to the town office and saying, this is where I walk
Yep.
my dog? I mean, or is that like private information?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. That's public information. Property property ownership is tax card. The assessors can look that up, I believe. Yep, and provide the owner's name. Yes. Yep. I don't know about the Coles. But-
Anyway, you go that way, it's his. Doug way is his, Pond's his,
Nice.
he owns 2 thirds. Well, I'm not getting.
So just for one other piece of information, the state is gonna dog nuisance legislative LD 133. They're presenting at the state level. You can go on maine.gov and put LD 133 in it and probably get the information on it. It's being presented by Rick Bennett, our senator, state senator, and Nathan Wadsworth supporting it from the House rep. So you can see what they're presenting, and of course we can make things stricter. We just can't make things lesser. So
in regards to that, it was put up, I believe, February, March, introductory in Augusta. The feeling is that it's probably not going to go through because the definition of nuisance is unobtainable. So, but that's the word from Augusta. The feeling around is that nuisance doesn't have a definitive definition enough to, who knows, maybe it'll gain traction and pass, but as of right now, I got an inkling into that.
It's
And one person's nuisance is another person's music sometimes.
Yes, sir.
That's what I like about this ordinance, it's got bright lines, you know, you guys put a lot of work into thinking about this and how it was gonna be defensible. And, you know, any line, it's not something you convey, right? So that's a great thing, and so that's why I think people who have dogs and wanna do the right thing are trying to find out how to stay inside that,
Yes, sir.
but also be able to operate in places where no harm, no foul. Do you know what I mean? That's what
Yes, sir.
I-
100%. Yep. No, I appreciate the questions. I just, I'm not educated enough in the legalities to answer your questions. And it's very hard to do, as I'm sure the planning board chair can admit to. In these types of settings, if I were to misspeak, do not think for 1 minute that that would not come back and back and back and back and back, as well, the selectman said. And I really want to avoid that. I can appreciate that there's a requirement for the ordinance to have some teeth to protect everybody. It's my job as a selectman to present this document to the taxpayers and majority vote rules.
I think
So-
you have great answers to my questions. But that's, you know, that's the thing is, you got a good ordinance, you want to enforce it. But, the question is for those people who are trying to operate reasonably inside.
Right.
You know, where is the leeway? And certainly around the issue of, you know, who owns the land and state ownership and all that stuff. That's crystal clear. I think you made it that way, so I thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
The only question I got is like, people don't post their land, no trespassing. Like, I mean, everybody goes cross-country skiing, snowshoeing on other people's land. So does it have to be posted? And I don't know, to keep people off the land? Jeannie, do you know? I mean, usually it has to be posted every 50 feet or something to keep people off the
I think
land.
it's every 50 foot at a certain height.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
gotta be, yeah, but I don't know.
because I mean, people snowmobile through people's land and they snowshoe, cross-country ski and hike, whatever.
This is gonna sound horrible, but I don't leave my property.
What's that?
I don't, I don't leave my property. I go. I work, then I go get parts and yeah, I don't go to anybody else's property. Only time I go to somebody else's property, if I'm backing up on that ramp truck to pull their stuff.
And frankly, I think the point is, this ordinance applies to land whether or not it's posted. Right?
Correct. Yes, sir. Yes.
Auto,
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Crystal clear.
No. It's not crystal clear, trust me. No,
What's that?
it's not crystal clear. Because when I turn my dog loose and say on any town on the way up,
Mhm.
I have no idea where it's gonna take them.
Right.
So the minute my dogs cross posted property, that's fine. The minute they stop and bay up on, my dogs are now in violation of no trespassing from the state. So it's not cut and dry because you have no control of where they're gonna take it. Because if you open your truck door on both sides, that bear runs through it, them dogs now go right.
Okay, so the question I'd like to ask you is you're being very specific about the hunting aspect.
That's
Okay.
it's under anything.
Well, hang on. It's under the hunting aspect. Now, there's a whole different set of rules for the hunting, correct?
There is.
ACO?
Yeah, you hunt on
There-
anybody's
there's a-
property.
Well, there's a whole different set of rules for hunting.
The game one.
Right. Okay, so. What you're saying is this ordinance. Doesn't have enough coverage for you.
It does for me, because when I leave, minute my dogs are called to leave my truck, I'm done. I can train the same way. But this ordinance is gonna affect a lot of other people besides me, because when I put collars on and I'm training and I'm running, I go on a state law.
Agreed.
So these laws are not gonna affect me until I'm on. My collars are off and I'm home.
So in other words, if we take a dog off our property And in our truck, we bring it here, we wanna play ball with them. But we cannot play ball on any of this property here. Unless we have, unless we have a collar on.
Well,
because-
no, what I'm, no, and see, this is, again, this is the hair splitting part. Okay, it says under control. It doesn't say that it has to be a 6-foot lanyard with a choke collar with, and this is what this is why ordinances are extremely difficult. Because it doesn't matter which direction we go with it, it's either too stringent and infringing upon people's rights, or it doesn't have enough coverage because, well, I don't like this, so, you know, this is a problem. It's extremely difficult to have something comprehensive for everybody. And
What I'm thinking is, when I move my truck, here in town, wherever I am, if that land is posted by law, I can't release my dogs on it.
okay,
Because I'm in violation of trespass law, they don't really want it to hunt, walk, or track, unless you've got written permission from the landowner.
okay,
But if my dogs, all right, we'll say I release them on Sonia's property, which is not posted, they take a bear out of there, they go across the Stellies and tree it. I'm in violation now because that bear stopped on that posted property and my dog stopped the tree or bear out. I have to, by law, call the warden,
mhm,
he in return calls the landowner. Just for me to go retrieve it.
right.
My problem with that is the longer my dogs stay in there without my coverage to get them off of the bear, who's liable for the damage that's gonna be caused of that because I can't go get them by law like I used to.
But this ordinance doesn't have any effect on that at all.
Only if they lose a call.
But it has no effect on
No,
that at all, because statute. The statute, you have to call a game warden. Game warden has more authority than any other officer in the state,
it's the mayor.
right?
What I think, if they take that dog and they walk around anybody's land and they just happen to go on that land, they see it, they're gonna be in violation of that law. I would have had that game played on it.
Well, the law, yes.
No, immediately your dog goes onto their property. They can use that law against you.
Mhm.
Whether you're hunting or not, that's my point.
Okay.
So it's a fine line, but they're gonna run into it, that's what I'm telling you.
But my question, I guess my question to you is, how does this ordinance? How is this ordinance, if it is enacted?
It's gonna affect a lot of people other than me. Because just like he said, if they wanna take their dog out, they have control of it, like we're in the right thing. A lot of them let their dogs out and run, but they end up on driveway. And they have control of them. A dog will be a dog, I don't care who you want it, how you have it. If they smell another dog, they see it, they're gonna go play with it, that's their nature. So that's where the fine line comes. Whether my land posted or not, or I don't want them on there, that's where the fine line is gonna come.
Mhm.
But I'm covered from it because I have collars on them and I'm actively hunting the training.
Right. But on the flip side of that, per your example, if the dog is gonna be a dog, as you stated, and just take off, where's the control? Number one, there is no control. And second off, the dog's gonna be a dog. They catch something, they wanna chase it, they're gonna chase it. But if they're trained and the owner is competent, they're gonna handle their dog,
Maybe.
cut and dry. Well, that's the way it's supposed to be, you know?
Supposed.
I can only play it's supposed to be. That's my little sandbox. It's supposed to be like this, but hey, you
I'm
know,
gonna use that against them. Regardless, how you put it. I mean, that's a good draft, yes, I agree. It's gonna help a lot of people, one way or the other.
I just think it's gonna hinder a lot of people from exercising their dogs. They're cooped up in the house, they wanna take their dogs and walk to the school. So that they can play ball and they can do whatever, now they can't do that
It's not.
if there's another dog out there playing and they can't, you know, I mean, I don't know. I
I've
just-
taken my Labrador on the ball, and that girl was trained to death. You got everything she's told, and I've seen dogs come out of crates that haven't been cooped up, and they just want to play with mine, and she doesn't like it. Next thing you know, they're arguing, then it turns into a fight, because I have to control mine, but that one's not controlled. I've been there and done it many times already. Not just the bog, but anywhere you hunt, fields, it's got other dogs, there will be dogs.
Yes, sir.
Guess this would be more towards the animal control officer. I'm out walking my dog. I walk almost daily, try to anyways. But I go down Main Street, down 160, up Pink Street, back across 130, and back down Main Street. If I'm out walking the dog, I got him on the leash. What happens if another dog comes out and thinks he wants to play, but he meets me right at the foot of the driveway? I'm not on their property, I'm on the road. But how is that gonna affect if their dog approaches mine? And their dog isn't under control?
They're in violation.
Well, they're on their own property, but. one
That's what I'm saying.
The highway,
What do you consider state highway?
The ditch.
Main Street.
the ditch, you know, you ditch,
Yeah, that,
you ditch, and they come out and they have a complication with your dog or attack your dog.
Yeah.
They're in violation.
okay. I just wanted to ask. I had one that came out, the owner was right there controlling. I said, we were fine. We didn't have no issue, no problem.
You scared him off, huh?
Huh?
You scared him off, huh?
No, I didn't. He, big size fellow.
Give him a growl.
But what I'm just saying is, a dog approached mine, but he wasn't on a leash, but he was on their property. And I was in the ditch, or on the main grid, so I was just trying to figure out where, if something did happen, who's involved? Am I involved or are they?
Typically, don't. We own the state, if it's a state road or town road.
75.
75 foot.
75 feet from the center line.
So 75 feet, that's fine.
That's state.
That dog should be that close,
Town road is 50 foot.
the dog should be that close to the road.
Okay, I just,
Shouldn't be.
75 feet's what it is. You go down Main Street, some people's doors are at 75 foot,
It's not great.
literally.
I know.
So
Um,
that's private drive.
that's what our word.
Now, a private drive can be accepted at a town level for maintenance purposes, which you guys know that.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, so, but that's where the 33 foot comes in.
Well, this applies also if you're walking a pig or a chicken. Oh, you can,
Which happens on Brownfield Day.
unless your chicken has a service. Best on it. If you have a service chicken, it doesn't apply.
no, watch it.
So, anything else on the dog control? Thank you, folks. Nothing? Moving on. Ordinance to establish the Brownfield Municipal Fire Department. Floor is open.
I'm just gonna say I'm a little behind on this, so.
Anything, folks?
Any interest? No?
What's the final decision? They're gonna make it or not?
What's that?
The building? Or is this about changes in the building?
This has nothing to do with the building. This is taking the volunteer fire company and creating a municipal fire department. Now, Brownfield Municipal Fire Department. Yes, sir, I agree. That's why it's back on the table. That's why it's being reintroduced.
And if they have a Dalmatian, they're exempt from the ordinance. If they're-
The last one, anyway.
Oh, it's fine.
I need a few minutes of your time, please.
Yeah, we do not consider ourselves. You have
Nobody's got any questions or interest?
a license?
What is the difference between municipal and what we have now? Why we need to vote on?
All right, creating the municipal fire department. Currently, it is a 501. Yeah, 501c3.
It's just a statute.
that's gonna stay, association will stay. We'll continue to do what we do, just makes the fire department municipal. So the volunteers are going out. We've not seen them come in, we've known that, been a long time coming, and it just, all we do is we vet, we get a firefighter that wants to go, we just come talk to the selectmen, and we vet them, because what we do is we get a lot of people in here that we spend a lot of money on, and we don't get no return out of it. They don't come. They say they're firefighters, but they don't come to training, don't come to calls, and all that stuff. I have no recourse on that, but I can come back to the selectmen and say municipal. But what we do right now is we pretty much do like municipal. I'm every 2 weeks, I report to the selectmen, report. So it's all it is. It's nothing changes really, just the name. I mean, the only equipment we own building and the land, that's, and you keep the building and land, it's equipment, it's just gonna be the same one.
But why couldn't you have changed that ordinance already? So if I put that kind of money out there. And they don't make it, why don't you get, how come you can't recall that money from them? When you took it with this?
We're supposed to supply it, so you can't pull money back. And once you spend it, you've got.
Well, I understand that. What I'm saying is, if you
So
don't
we
spend
do
it,
right now, it's training, a big one that, we've had people sign up for training, costs us money, now I have to put money up front.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do that, we put the money up front, and if you pass, we pay for it,
But if you don't come,
but if you don't come, you lose it.
that's what you said, I know along the way.
We did that a long time ago.
Yeah, because you can't recoup that money on what you do anyways. Because you're volunteering, when you get money from the grants or whatever you pull in.
Yeah, the town does, we do have a budget to the town, and, we try to keep our budget low, but fundraising and a lot of grants. But the association has a better chance of getting grants to help along. And that's what we do. This one that came from the Senator Collins, right, because we're a volunteer fire association, and then it looked and seen what we got.
Now, can you use any of that money that's left to pay for that training and stuff instead of coming?
No. No, this is all. No, this money for the building is for the building, that's it. No, you can't use it, anything but.
Really?
Yeah, it's all you can use it for. Build a new building.
That don't make no sense.
That's.
Yeah, the grant was awarded to the town of Brownfield, so, municipal building, hence why we bought the property. Some good points about the formation of the municipal fire department. Currently, the volunteer fire company falls under Good Samaritan law. Good protection. Municipal fire falls under Good Samaritan with tort, which is ADB ruling. It's like essentially having minimum liability on your car to full coverage. It's pretty comprehensive.
You got to try and stand.
Very good deal. We're already paying all the bills. So this is actually essentially would be a good, somebody else used the term housekeeping. We're currently, we cut the paychecks. We pay the lights. Heat. All the equipment. So this is a needed thing for the town.
Yeah, but
Very much.
it's just in the water.
In Sweden. Yeah, Timmy Cook, Sweden did it last year. Hiram did it last year, March.
It doesn't change.
No, it just a name. Yeah, basically, it's a little more than a name, but yeah, should have been done long before now.
We tried that one now. It didn't make it.
All right, Chad's got a question.
I just, if it goes to municipal, if I'm saying that right? Does that mean that are they still volunteers or now are they?
No, they're,
Qualified as full-time fire department?
No,
there's no,
we're what they call paid call.
correct,
Okay.
that's correct.
We're paid call.
Yes.
Okay, doesn't mean,
No, we're gonna nothing to pull out.
No.
I mean, a lot of it in here, what defines is what the responsibilities are of the fire chief, the selectmen, the town. It's more or less defining it, I guess, more clearly or more specifically.
Yes.
Yeah.
It clears it. A little bit of legal housekeeping and we're good to go. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Anything else, folks? What I have,
Thank you. Virginia, how's Terry? Okay,
give me a second up.
he's sick. He's feeling sick, pretty ill this morning now.
Virginia, stop beating him. Anything else, folks? Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Sweet.